Yo, 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 yo. Well, I'm here. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's the Lecture Fan stream at 6 a.m. on a Friday. Let's go. Who's here? Who's here? Who's here? Who's here? Who's here? Let's go. We're going for it, baby. Never have AI units in a vehicle. I was reading some Reddit posts about Anastasia. And it was talking about how just F the AI is, and basically like the AI can do certain things, and like that's what you should have them do, and like one of the things they are horrible at doing is anything with vehicles, and I was like, so true, so true. I kind of want to listen to Montana Talks. Actually, I should just do it.
Live from the internet's red carpet, it's Vrbo's 2025 Vacation Rentals of the Year. Selected from over 2 million private vacation rentals, this year's list features the best of Vrbo. And with weekly discounts on select stays, they might be more affordable than you think. See the list at vrbo.com and make it a Vrbo.
To kill another South Carolina inmate today. The second such execution by firing squad in the state in 5 weeks. Mikhail Mahdi has been on death row for 20 years for the ambush killing of an off-duty police officer. The 42-year-old choosing this method of death over lethal injection or the electric chair. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Round 2 of the Masters just underway in Augusta, Georgia. The leader, Justin Rose, tees off later this hour. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
What happens to you if you don't file your taxes? I'm Jenny Cosola with the Fox Business Tax Tip. Coming up.
It's the Will Cain Show. Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on FoxNews.com or on the Fox News YouTube channel. And don't miss a show. Get the podcast 5 days a week at FoxNewsPodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Not filing your taxes can cost you.
If you owed taxes on that return, you'd be subject to a failure to file penalty, which is equal to 5% of the amount owed, and that's per month.
Carl Breedlove, lead tax research analyst with the Tax Institute at H&R Block, says there's also an additional failure to pay penalty.
If you're due a refund, there won't be any penalty because the penalty is based upon the amount you owe.
But to receive that refund, you need to file. Jenny Cosola, Fox News.
Critical.
Montana Talks, uniting the treasure state, one conversation at a time. Here's your host, Aaron Flint.
Man, I tell you what, when it comes to property tax relief here in Montana, it's probably just going to come back down to we the people. We the people are going to have to get the job done. Now, frankly, that should happen anyway. Even if the legislature can finally get all their Adam Schiff together here with, 3 weeks or so to go. What the heck? Seriously, wait. Income tax relief. Why wasn't that done back in January? Property tax relief. Why wasn't that done back in January? Judicial reform. Why wasn't that done back in January? I mean, my goodness. The Democrats are just sitting back, they're either sitting back laughing at the Republicans right now, or they're recording videos of themselves bragging about the fact that they're playing a handful of these Republicans for fools right now. Yeah, that's what. So there's this far-left liberal Democrat out of Bozeman, Cora Newman is her name, and she's really had some crazy policies that she's been advocating. She went and posted a video. The Montana Sentinel shared this yesterday. I had a friend from Great Falls send it to me as well, and then I saw, and then after they sent me that video and a message, I saw that the Montana Sentinel was sharing it as well here. This far-left liberal Democrat from Bozeman, well, she's not from Bozeman, but, she moved to Bozeman. She posts this video where she is just mocking these 9 Republicans that are voting with the Democrats. She's bragging about the fact, we prevented this Republican senator who was being hit with this ethics investigation. We prevented him from being expelled from the Senate. She was bragging about the fact that the Democrats helped a Republican senator basically survive an ethics scandal. And then the rest of her caucus, tries to go out and brag on social media that, these Republicans, they've got ethics scandals. When she's recording videos bragging about the fact of how, we saved a Republican senator from an ethics scandal. And then she's bragging about the fact how she's got some of these Republicans under her thumb. She can play them in any way she wants to play them. So I would throw that question out to these 9 Republican state senators. How do you feel about Cora Newman out here saying that she's basically able to use you guys? And then when it comes to key votes, Cora Newman says, I got these 9 Republicans under my thumb. And so when she wants to push the far-left agenda or she wants to get her little amendment. First off, why is a Democrat successfully getting an amendment across the finish line in either the House or the Senate right now? Republicans have the majority. And it's not just the 9 that are voting for some of these Republican or these Democrat amendments, by the way. There's some other so-called conservatives that are voting, from what I'm hearing, for some of these amendments as well. But to the 9 that are there, I get it. You're going back and saying, well, look at us. We're sticking it to the party bosses. Well, apparently the Democrats think they're running you. So why don't you stick it to their party bosses too?
Here's a look at your Montana weather for Billings and Bozeman. With sunshine across the area for today, we'll see high temperatures ranging from near 70 in Bozeman to around 80 in the Billings area. For tonight, increasing clouds with some shower chances moving in, especially late. Overnight lows will stay back around 42 in Bozeman to the upper 40s in Billings. Then we'll see more rain showers on Saturday. That's a look at your Montana weather. On Montana Talks, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley.
Securing America.
3 Army soldiers who were discharged from the service for refusing to get the COVID vaccine during the pandemic have now returned to active duty. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reacted on Fox's The Will Cain Show.
All the letters are out to the folks who were pushed out, and we welcome them back as quickly and robustly as possible.
The Army says over 100 more have applied for reinstatement. The Marines say 129 have started the reinstatement process.
We will apologize to you. We will recognize the wrong that's been done. We will welcome you back with rank and back pay, and we want your service.
The Secretary adding that the return of these service members can only make the U.S. force stronger.
These are some of our best and brightest. We were kicking out folks with 17 years in, 18 years in, 19 years in.
Over 8,000 service members in all were discharged during the pandemic for refusing to get vaccinated.
Wow.
Hey, Clay, if there was a summer camp for critical thinking, we'd be the chief counselors. Those jellyheads in June would be intellectual warriors by August. Be a lot of fun, too. Some Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure references thrown in. This podcast's like a daily dose of that, minus the campfires, archery, and pranking the girls. The Bonafide Boot Camp for critical thinking. You can get in on it for free at the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search our names, Clay and Buck, listen, and subscribe.
Darnell Insurance, your independent insurance agent.
Darnell Insurance was built by my father, Aubrey, and he was a career insurance man. So I'm second generation, and we've been working at this for well over 30 years now. But we're built on being available to our customer and providing the kind of service we think they need to help them make insurance buying decisions.
Call Darnell Insurance 652-4180, your independent insurance agent.
In a world where rising housing prices jeopardize affordable housing, comes one company's mission to bring back affordability to the market. This summer, we bring to your own property a housing project so amazingly affordable, only one company can come through with the task: Majestic Homes. Majestic Homes in Billings, Montana proudly introduces the Tempo 1,325 square foot highly energy efficient modular for only $159,000. OMG. That's a modular delivered and craned onto your foundation for only $120 a square foot. Swing by 5202 Laurel Road, Billings, and speak to Jock or Walt about this amazing affordable housing project. Crane, delivery, and setup on your property for $159,000. Call 406-248-1412 or visit Majestic Homes website at majestichomesite.com for more details.
Talking about the issues that matter to Montana, statewide. This is Montana Talks with Aaron Flint.
Now, one thing we should definitely get to here this morning, we need to talk about the state budget here and the budget proposals. David Noble, he joined us Thursday for the entire 7 o'clock hour, and we had great conversations. But if there's one topic I wish we would have brought up when David Noble was in the House, was talking about the big spending in Helena right now and breaking down the state budget as well. And, hey, what can be done to lower some of the spending that's being considered right now. And so I did see just a great breakdown, because what I was trying to find is, you hear people throwing out numbers, but I wanted to see more of a breakdown. I wanted to see more of okay, how does it break down on a year-by-year basis? How does this stack up with regard to, population increases and inflation increases? And the Frontier Institute, which is a free market think tank here in Montana, led by our friend Kendall Cotton, did just that. They did a nice breakdown, posted on X yesterday afternoon, so I can now add that into the conversation here as well. But let's go back to this is a Democrat state senator, far left, by the way, state senator Cora Newman. And the Montana Freedom Caucus shared this via X yesterday. Now, of course, this is audio that they shared, video that they shared. So it's likely, edited together in a montage, I'm assuming. So that being said, hey, if there's a longer form video out there, if the Democrats want to say, hey, wait, there's more to this story, hey, definitely send it our way. But again, as I kicked off the show this morning here, the Democrats are sitting back and laughing at the Republicans. They are just sitting back laughing. Property tax relief, no clear property tax relief in sight right now. Income tax relief. The Republicans in the Senate, and not just the 9, by the way, the other Republicans in the Senate have been voting for basically what amounts to a Democrat bill. The Yakowicz bill is a Democrat bill. It does not provide across-the-board tax relief. It's class warfare. We're sitting on a budget surplus, a big budget surplus. Why would you pass a class warfare budget bill, right? And so But to the 9 in particular that have been voting with the Democrats on rules and committee assignments and Medicaid expansion too. But again, okay, let's take Medicaid expansion off the table. Apparently there's some other things that the Democrats are claiming publicly that they are using these 9 Republican state senators to get the far left agenda done.
The Democrats and moderate Republicans have a working majority in the Senate right now, and they also have a really productive coalition in the House. Democrats and moderate Republicans are working together to fight back and kill the far-right initiatives. It is really unique in the country right now. We have killed a huge number of judiciary bills. We have killed abortion bills. Democrats and moderate Republicans were able to come together, effectively block expulsion of one of the senators that we've been working with. And so I'm just really proud of us for holding the line on that despite massive pressure.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now that little part there where the line got repeated and slowed down, of course, that was the Freedom Caucus putting the emphasis on the syllable there to just make it very clear that here is a Democrat far left state senator from Bozeman bragging about the fact that the Democrats saved a Republican from an ethics scandal. And then bragging about how they're working with Republican state senators who called themselves conservatives when they ran for office, who are voting with Democrats on abortion, who are voting with Democrats against judicial reform measures. So, again, if these 9 Republican state senators are saying, well, look, we just had to support Medicaid expansion because, we're getting pressured by our local rural hospitals, and our local rural hospitals got hit hard by the COVID stupidity, the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, and some of this other nonsense, so we had to vote for Medicaid expansion to keep it going. It's already in place. We didn't want to take it away. Okay, all right, well, then why judicial reform? Why are you voting against that? Then pro-life measures. Why are you voting with the far left on that? If it was just about committee assignments and some key rules mechanisms and it was just about Medicaid expansion, then what about this other stuff? But again, the Democrats are just sitting back laughing. They're just laughing. Cora Newman, what did Cora, who has some crazy policies, if Trump was here, he'd probably, I call her Crazy Cora. She said, we've got a really productive coalition. Really productive? I would throw this question out to the people of Montana. And again, you don't have to be Democrat, Republican, conservative, or liberal. Really productive. What do you see going on in Helena right now that's really productive right now? Property tax isn't happening. That's the one thing almost all of us agree on. So if Cora Newman...
Crazy Eric, what's up, guys?
With these 9 Republicans, and they're so productive, then where the hell is property tax relief? Where the hell is income tax relief? Really productive? So you know what Cora's crazy policies just did here? If she is now claiming that she is in charge of the state Senate, if this legislature fails to deliver property tax relief, we lay it at the feet of Cora's crazy policies and Cora's crazy coalition because they're the ones that are killing it right now.
This is the Montana Economic Minute.
The rule of law has a nice sound to it. Who doesn't want to be governed by laws? Except that it punts on the definition of law and the system for which it's applied. Economists care about economic outcomes, and the way the legal system actually works today exacts a significant cost on all of us. Companies produce products and services which expose them to risk when bad things happen. That makes sense. Those same companies shouldn't be selling dangerous things. At least that's the theory. But the legal system can make it enormously expensive to defend yourself.
Guess what's up, guess?
Lawyers can shop around
Yankee
the
go
country to
home.
plaintiff-friendly places to file lawsuits. And the blank check of punitive damages sharpens the tip of the spear aimed at the heart of a
Right,
that finds itself
right.
in court.
They just have to facilitate, right? Guess now they just have to facilitate. What does that even mean? That doesn't mean that it actually has to happen. They just have to try. Very strange. Very strange. Right? I mean, right?
Montana Bureau of Business and Economic Research. I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Controversy from Republican Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, referring to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as the, quote, Führer. That's a reference to the title used by Adolf Hitler. When speaking to reporters about President Trump's tax cut plan on Capitol Hill, Moreno said the following about Schumer. Quote, here's the main thing you've got to understand. Republicans are independently minded. Democrats are monolithic sheep that followed the Führer Schumer's orders. Schumer is the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in U.S. history. The German word Führer is a political title meaning leader that is most associated with Hitler. He led his country into World War II and was responsible for the deaths
See all the
of 6
green?
million Jews.
Eric, see all the green? That green is me. All I have to take out is some of this red.
Demanded an apology. Schumer lost family members during the Holocaust. Schumer called Moreno's language, quote, despicable, and decried it as anti-Semitic, plain and simple. Schumer also called on Moreno's fellow Republicans to denounce the remark. Moreno is a freshman senator just elected in the fall. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Hey, it's me, Paige DeSorbo, and I'm so excited to share my new shoe collection at DSW, filled with my favorite styles and trends for spring. Because if you know me, you know I'm kind of obsessed with shoes. And by kind of obsessed, I mean head over heels. You're going to love these shoes, so snag super cute styles like cute flats, fun heels, and cool sneakers from the Paige DeSorbo collection right now at your DSW store or dsw.com.
Darnell Insurance, your independent insurance agent.
Well, at Darnell Insurance, we're here. We keep predictable office hours. The doors are open, the coffee pot's on, and we want to meet you where you want to be met. In other words, come into the office, bring your paperwork, call us. We'll visit with you over the phone, or if you prefer, there are electronic signature opportunities whereby maybe you don't have to stop in if it doesn't fit your schedule.
Call Darnell Insurance 652-4180, your independent insurance agent.
It's time for thanks for being with us here on the Western Network. Well, this week, boots and cowboy hats were back on Capitol Hill for the NCBA and Public Lands Council Spring Legislative Fly-In. And last night on my way home from the National Agri-Marketing Association Conference in Kansas City, I ran into Wyoming Stock Growers Association Vice President Ray Phillips from Du Bois at the airport in Denver, who talked with me about the current political atmosphere in Washington, D.C.
It's like trying to guess what the weather's going to be. And there was a lot of, there's some
Wow.
optimism there, but,
I launched all my
it's
missiles.
hard to pin down anything what's really going to happen that's going to benefit us. The tariff deal with other countries, with the meats, that could be very positive for us, but nobody knows exactly where it's going.
Nice.
And so we're just waiting and see. From a regulatory standpoint, Endangered Species Act, and they're just saying, well, we're going to try, but is anything really going to get definitely done? Another one, we don't know.
He also said they continue to push hard to see President Trump's 2017 Jobs and Tax Act become permanent.
That was a huge priority. That was probably what's on anybody's lips and thoughts was the tax bills, and it's on the legislators, and it was on the NCBA and PLC folks. We desperately need it. If we're going to look at trying to stay business, in the next generation or two, we need those taxes. So they're pushing hard on it, and we're just going to have to see.
Again, that was Wyoming Stock Growers Association Vice President Ray Phillips, one of this year's NCBA and PLC Spring Legislative Fly-In participants. Stay with us while more Ag News right after this.
The American Land Board wants 2025 to be the best year yet for education. Land Sheffield-funded programs include workshops and summits aimed at equipping sheep producers with the necessary tools and resources to profitably grow their operations. Like the American Lamb Summit, July 27th through 25th, University of Idaho in Moscow. Event highlights include defining land quality and hitting carcass targets and increasing production efficiency. Learn more and register at landboard.com.
Hydraulic failure. Sign up for the Beatbox. Hydraulic failure. Head to the Montana Beef Council website.
Thursday suggested a new program will be set up to help reduce the risk of using undocumented workers to mass deportations. Trump discussed easing restrictions. The first president has signaled a willingness to mass deportation plans to help protect the labor pool for industries like agriculture. The president suggested undocumented workers would have the chance to return to the country legally in a certain time frame, which is probably going to be 60 days. Of course, to help fill the void and assure the legal labor, farmers and ranchers, H-2A programs, job positions. Last year alone, enterprise and ag operations used H-2A.
Montana Talks with Aaron Flint.
Headset back on here because I gotta tweet out what I just put out on the radio just a few minutes ago here. Let's see. Yeah, let me hit send on that one. At least I paid for the subscription to X, so if I put a typo in there while I was quickly trying to send a tweet while I'm on the radio this morning, at least then I can go back. Oh, better go edit that one. But yeah, here we go. For those of you, I see Kat out there in eastern Montana just tweeted out that she's listening to the show starting about 54 seconds ago. Kat, if you literally just started listening, well, you missed my rant here for the first 20 minutes or so of the show, but that's all right, because let me give you a summary. Okay, so the Montana Freedom Caucus, this is just explosive. Cora's crazy policies and Cora's crazy coalition. The Montana Freedom Caucus, this is the tweet that I sent out a few minutes ago. The Montana Freedom Caucus exposing her videos this week is explosive. Explosive. I don't know if you saw that video yet, Kat. How do these 9 state senators who ran as Republicans, who ran as conservatives, feel about her bragging about how she is running you? Now, I said this earlier this week. Look, the state Republican Party has officially rebuked these 9 Republican state senators, but let's be honest, they've been rebuking them since January, and it hasn't had any effect, so why would the rebuke have any effect now? But here's the deal. If these Republican state senators are going back to their districts saying, yeah, I stood up to the party bosses, I stood up to the party bosses, well, apparently you're not standing up to crazy Cora here and her crazy policies, because she's bragging about how she is running you guys. You guys are a bunch of pushovers, according to crazy Cora here. You guys are a bunch of wimps, according to crazy Cora here. She is just bragging about how you guys are just getting run under the table. She's using you to vote against all sorts of pro-life measures. She's using you to vote against judicial reform. And which, of course, what she's sitting back laughing about, bragging about, is she's saying, hey, you guys can do whatever you want here in Helena, and our crazy judges are going to block whatever they want anyway. And judicial reform? I am schooling these Republican state senators and even some members of the House to block this stuff. And then I threw this question out. This was the tweet that I just sent 2 minutes ago. That's why I was slow putting my headset back on. And if Cora's crazy policies are effectively running the state Senate right now, well, we know who to blame for the current demise of property tax relief. She claims they have a really productive coalition in Helena. Really? Tell us what's being produced in Helena right now. Tell us where the progress is right now. One of the productive things was protecting women's sports and women's locker rooms. Oh, and one of your liberal judges already blocked that. So where is the progress?
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. China raises tariffs of 125% on U.S. goods, but that appears to be the limit for the communist nation.
The Chinese are putting out the word now today that they are done matching the Trump U.S. tariffs. So
They got them up to 125%, but the Chinese officials are telling us that they don't think it's worth matching tariff for tariff anymore with these economic sanctions that they call a joke.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. So Trump tariffs are at 145% on China, but that includes an extra 20% fentanyl-related levy. U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer earlier on Fox and Friends.
The Chinese reaction this morning is not terribly surprising, but certainly unfortunate.
Greer says he's talking to Israel and Taiwan today. Energy Secretary Chris Wright in the UAE today says the U.S. could stop Iran's oil exports as part of a plan to pressure Tehran over its nuclear program. America's listening to Fox News.
For you, 406-294-0970. Kat in eastern Montana now on the phone lines. Kat, you've been summoned. Your phone call is
I have been summoned, Aaron. No, I just saw your tweet and I just heard you, and it doesn't surprise me at all. Of course, Cora's on a video. I haven't seen the video, which is actually pretty surprising.
Hey, Kat, hold that thought for just a second. For some reason, your phone is like digitizing. It's breaking up. Can you call right back in? Can you just hang up and then call back in? Because I know how that is, especially in eastern Montana. The cell coverage is just crazy, despite the trillions of dollars wasted by the Biden regime. If you can, call back in, because, yeah, we want to hear what you have to say, but your call was just kind of breaking up there. So give us a call back, please, 294-0970. And then for other listeners out there, if you want to call in, we've got the phone lines open for you as well here this morning. All right, we will sneak her back. All right, here she is. She's back on. Let's see if this works this time. All right, Kat, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Is it good now?
Perfect. Yeah, much better now. Thank you.
Okay, so I haven't seen the video of Cora bragging about how she's, the mascot of the Republicans, right? The Nasty Nine. They made national news for being out of line, the out of line nine. But it doesn't surprise me at all. But the primaries are incoming. Like this, we are leading the way. Montana is leading the way for putting our lawmakers in check. And I am so proud of the Montana GOP for what they're doing. And this is an absolute embarrassment. What is going on, Aaron? We could blame it on, lobbyists. We could blame it on special interests. We could blame it on everything except the only thing we can't blame it on is them, these Nasty Nine, voting for the people of Montana. So I'm going to go research this video, or you can put it on X or whatever, and I'll definitely be talking about this on the podcast tonight, because this is explosive. What an embarrassment.
Yeah, well, I'll play the audio for you here again, because, yeah, like I say, I know different people are tuning in at different times as the state wakes up here this morning. But, yeah, I'll play the audio once again. But I did see, I saw Representative Jerry Schillinger and then Darren Gobb on Newsmax, so thanks for sharing that clip. I got a chance to watch that earlier this morning as well here. But, I mean, my thing is this, is like, okay, because I would say this, too. Not only are these 9 that have been called out voting with the Democrats on... But there's others that are voting with the Democrats, too. Even some conservatives where you're like, what are you guys doing? Why are you voting for crazy Cora's amendments? Right? I mean, it's just like, guys, so it's like, so again, we need to hold all of them accountable.
Join group. 3.
And it's easy to sit back and just focus on the 9, but what about some of these other guys that are voting with the Democrats, too? But here's the bigger picture, is that if Crazy Cora is claiming that she's the one in charge, she's the one running the show.
2, 3, 4,
now we know why there is nothing productive happening in Hello. No property tax significant.
Montana State News Network. I'm Dennis Bragg. Great Falls Police continuing to investigate an outburst of shooting this week, but say there's no cause for alarm in the community. Jason Laird catches us up on the...
An outburst of shooting, but no cause for alarm?
911 calls reported possible gunshots near 11th Street South and 4th Avenue South.
Great Falls Police responded quickly with help from Cascade County deputies and launched a several-hour-long investigation, including drone surveillance and interviews. A 16-year-old male was treated for a minor gunshot injury to the foot and released. 2 vehicles were also found with damage consistent with bullet strikes. Police believe that it was an isolated incident involving a group of juveniles who knew each other. The investigation is ongoing, and an increased police presence may be seen in this area. Reporting for the Montana State News Network, I'm Jason Laird.
And it may have topped 70 degrees yesterday in some locations, but the National Weather Service is warning winter weather is returning for some this weekend. In typical Montana April fashion, as much as 2 to 10 inches of snow is forecast along the northern divide, with some snow extending down to 3,000 feet Saturday night into Sunday morning in some of the valleys. The weather is certainly heading towards summer regardless of the weekend forecast, and Yellowstone National Park is announcing select entrances will be opening for the season a week from today, weather permitting. The West Yellowstone entrance will join the north entrance at Gardner on the 18th, allowing access to Norris Geyser Basin, the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, and Old Faithful, in addition to Mammoth Hot Springs, Lamar Valley, and Silvergate areas, which are accessible year-round. Here's an unusual ranking for one of our Montana colleges. The Military-Friendly Schools list is naming the University of Montana as the #1 military-friendly college in the U.S., putting it on top for Tier 1 research institutions. The list is compiled every year from data collected at 8,800 schools nationwide based on input from student veterans and a survey. This is the Montana State News Network.
For more on these stories and others around Montana, download the Montana State News app.
One of life's simple pleasures is relaxing in a comfortable...
Some high-profile arrests of illegal aliens and Tren de Aragua gang members here in Montana. But how many illegal aliens do they think are actually hiding out here in Montana? We got a number from Montana Governor Greg Gianforte because he's been working with federal law enforcement, talked about the incredible collaboration that's finally taken place. He says there's 1,000 illegal aliens, mostly in the Gallatin Valley. Full story, go to MontanaTalks.com.
Avoiding an audit can be as simple as filing everything correctly. I'm Ginny Cosola with your Fox Business Tax Tip. After this.
From around the world to Washington to your own backyard, if a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Simple errors can result in an audit letter from the IRS.
If you got a 1099 for some income and you forgot to include it, the IRS knows that that income was paid to you.
Carl Breedlove, lead tax research analyst with the Tax Institute at H&R Block, says if something looks fraudulent, the IRS will want a closer look. CPA Stephen Zellen of Zellen and Associates.
If you don't work with a professional, there may be forms missing.
When in doubt, have a tax professional prepare your return. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
Get in that vehicle. 2, 4, 6, 8. Dismount.
Montana Talks, uniting the Treasure State, one conversation at a time. Here's your host, Aaron Flint.
Oh, man, I just saw a tweet from our friend David Noble. Did you guys see this headline? Okay, before I get to that one, let's at least do a good news story headline here from the Montana legislature. This was a report by Jonathan Ambarian. The Montana House endorses a bill allowing lawsuits over transgender procedures. So somebody comes in, they chop off the body parts of these kids, and
75 meters.
Or they botch. You could say the whole thought of even removing these body parts is a botched procedure in itself. But should the Democrats' trial lawyer buddies be able to go in and sue over these transgender procedures down the road? That's kind of an interesting one, right? You know, the Democrats, boy, they really had to make a tough vote on this one, didn't they? Let me look and see if it says how many. Let's see. Oh, of course, it got amended.
Oh, shit.
The Democrats, okay, some of them voted for the bill. Here's the headline. Montana House endorses bill allowing lawsuits over transgender procedures. But they had to amend it to limit those lawsuits. The Democrats, the only time ever you will see the Democrats trying to place limits on their trial lawyer buddies is in the name of chopping body parts off of kids. They love the trial lawyers. The trial lawyers fund all their campaigns. The trial lawyers fund all these liberal judges. The trial lawyers love to file lawsuits. But the Democrats don't want them suing any of these chop shops that are chopping up kids in the name of the transgender agenda. So the Democrats actually, we want to limit some of these lawsuits regarding transgender procedures. The only time ever the Democrats have voted for some kind of tort reform is to protect the chop shops chopping body parts off of kids. Ain't that rich? That is so rich, isn't it? Let's see. But then, there was a couple of other headlines here from the Lee newspapers. Bill to criminalize parents and doctors who provide gender-affirming care fails in the Montana House. Republican efforts to recast Montana's judicial elections as partisan falls short, so judicial reform still falling short. And this is why Crazy Cora, this far-left state senator out of Bozeman, is bragging about running some of these Republicans. And I would love to hear their response to this. Because if you're willing to stick it to the party bosses, well, why don't you stick it to their party bosses too?
The Democrats and moderate Republicans have a working majority in the Senate right now. And they also have a really productive coalition in the House. Democrats and moderate Republicans are working together to fight back and kill the far-right initiatives. It is really unique in the country right now. We have killed a huge number of judiciary bills. We have killed abortion bills. Democrats and moderate Republicans were able to come together effectively.
Absolutely terrible.
Expulsion of one of the senators that we've been
This is so horrible.
Of one of the senators that we've been working with. And so I'm just really proud of us for holding the line on that despite massive pressure.
Yeah, okay, again, so if Crazy Cora is so crazy productive, what is getting done in Helena? We can thank Crazy Cora for no property tax relief. By the way, Governor Greg Gianforte was in Missoula this week calling once again for more property tax relief. He's calling for property tax relief, significant property tax relief. He's calling for income tax relief.
Get in that vehicle.
Now, are some of these Republicans voting against real income tax relief because for whatever reason they don't want to go along with the governor's plans? And likewise, if some of these Republican senators claim to be supporting the governor's agenda, then why aren't they helping to get the governor's agenda? They're not helping the governor. They're not helping the governor get income tax relief across the board. They're not helping the governor get property tax relief across the board. So who are they helping? All right, let's go into the phone lines. Leonard in Billings, thanks for the call. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to bring everybody's attention to that on House Bills 155, 231, and 528, those are all property tax bills. On Monday, the city council is going to go to Helena and have, they've made arrangements according to Bill Cole on the minutes of Wednesday's meeting that they are going to have them pass an amendment to each one of those bills that will supersede the Billings Charter. And that will allow that the city council will be able to raise taxes without voter approval for anything at any time.
This is huge. Leonard, this is huge. If you are a taxpayer in the city of Billings, you should be ticked off at what...
Well, I am. I've been telling everybody I can know. And I found this on Wednesday afternoon. They had, on the city council, they have these committees. And one of the committees deals with political things for Helena. And on that committee, they have an audio that you can listen to on the city website. On April 2nd and April 9th, they discuss how they are going to do this, and even some, I can't tell whose voice is on there, but they said if anything goes wrong with them on this amendment, they'll just blame the state, because state law will take place over city law.
Yeah. So, Leonard, now correct me if I get this wrong anywhere, but as I understand it, so, you know, let's say the state finally gets their act together and they get this property tax relief across the finish line in the final 3 weeks here. in Billings, they can't say, oh, well, the state of Montana wanted to give you property tax relief, but we're just going to adjust the mills so you don't get it, so we keep getting our money, right? In Missoula, they can't. They can do that. In Billings, they can't. Their charter limits them from them jacking up your property taxes or your other taxes whenever they want to. So what the city is going to the legislature saying, hey, we're going to have to fire a bunch of police officers if you guys pass property tax relief, which is a bunch of BS. They're about to get a boatload more money later this year because of the rise in property values. And so they can afford to continue funding public safety. It's garbage. I told the Democrat Representative Jonathan Carlin out of Missoula yesterday, I said, don't let this liberal city of Billings hold property tax relief hostage, and don't let them bust their charter, because what the city of Billings is trying to do right now is they want the ability, if the state comes in and gives you property tax relief, they want the ability to say, we're going to raise your taxes anyway, and they want to bust the charter to be able to do that forever. And they need to be stopped, and these Republican state senators need to not listen to a word that this liberal city of Billings is pumping their direction. I would call your state lawmakers in Billings and say, hey, don't listen to this liberal city of Billings. They do not have our interests at heart here.
I think you're right on, and on this audio on this past Wednesday, Mayor Cole has just said blatantly that State Senator Emma Kerr Carpenter from the Billings Heights is going to carry these amendments onto the Senate floor on either Monday or Tuesday.
Of course she is, because what do the Democrats always do? They always figure out a way to get more of your money. They'll sit here and say they want property tax relief all day long because they know that their buddies in Missoula will go raise the taxes anyway. And so, Missoula, city and county raised their taxes within the last year or two by 20%. Is that what people in Yellowstone County want? Is that what people in Billings want? You want the city of Billings to be able to do what the city of Missoula has been doing? And if you're in Butte right now, Leonard, thanks so much for the call. This is a very important time. If you're in Butte right now, if you're in Bozeman right now, or you're in Conrad or Shelby, wherever the heck you're listening right now, what you also need to know and tell your lawmakers is hey, stop letting the city of Billings hold property tax relief for the entire state hostage because of their threats. That's what this is. These are threats from the city of Billings. They are holding property tax relief hostage for everybody in the state. And their hostage negotiation strategy is exactly what Leonard and Billings just laid out here. Hey, you give us the ability to break the limits on taxing our citizens, or else the firefighters and the police officers are going to get it. Which is exactly why, city council elections matter. The race for mayor matters. And all this stuff matters. Man, Leonard, thanks so much for the call. Now, what did David Noble tweet out? David Noble just sent this one out. Let me go into it. So the House just passed a bill endorsing Indigenous Peoples Day. David Noble says this: I'm calling on Governor Gianforte to veto the attack on Columbus Day and the attack on America. I cannot believe after Trump won this state by 20 points, our legislature would go far left, anti-American woke with the Indigenous Peoples Day attack on America. That's from our friend David Noble, who is a historian when it comes to Columbus.
Now, here's the morning Sean Hannity update.
Right now, the president is in the process of undoing what is 50 or 60 years worth of Americans being ripped off. Even our friends in Europe, our friends in Canada, our friends in Taiwan, our friends in South Korea, Japan, have all taken advantage of us, and they've been allowed to do so because that is the institutionalist mindset, and nobody wants to dare rock the boat. And what the great fallacy in all of this is, every single one of these countries, if they don't want their our economies.
Dude, nice. My guy's got me. My guy's got me.
Your money. They have to make a deal with President Trump. People can understand free and fair trade, your choice, or reciprocal tariffs, your choice to other countries. That's a pretty simple concept.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
On later today, right here on the Sean Hannity Show.
Are you taking steps to help protect your money from the potential impact of world war? Russia and Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. We've seen threats from Iran. And now Syria has been taken over by extremists, putting the entire region at risk. The question is, how much more international conflict can we handle? And what impacts will these conflicts have on the global economy and your retirement savings? Right now, thousands of hardworking Americans are turning to precious metals like gold and silver to help them protect their hard-earned savings. You may not be able to control these global conflicts around the world, but you can control how you diversify your money. And that's where gold and silver could help. Right now, you can get a free gold and silver kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. On top of that, you could get up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver for qualified accounts, but only while supplies last. So don't wait. Visit HannityGold.com or call 855-815-GOLD to get your free copy today and find out if you qualify for up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. That's 855-815-GOLD.
Here's a look at your Montana weather for Billings and Bozeman. With sunshine across the area for today, we'll see high temperatures ranging from near 70 in Bozeman to around 80 in the Billings area. For tonight, increasing clouds with some shower chances moving in, especially late. Overnight lows will stay back around 42 in Bozeman to the upper 40s in Billings. Then we'll see more rain showers on Saturday. That's a look at your Montana weather. On Montana Talks, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley.
Ah, come on. AOC is old news. They got to bring Jasmine Crockett to Missoula next week. Hey, Aaron Flint here with Montana Talks. Yeah, we talked about Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing a rally in Missoula, Montana next week. It's the lifestyles of the rich and socialist. We talked about that and more, including a legislative update on Thursday's show. What are we going to talk about on Freedom Friday? Well, why don't you tell us? Montana Talks, the show where you get to talk statewide 9 to 10. Spring.
Oh, watch for beans.
That sign says watch for bears. Here, let's find you an eye doctor on ZocDoc.
Look, Dr. Barker is in network.
That says Dr. Baker. Here, let me help. Reviews say he's very attentive. Dr. Cleaves has 5 stars and an opening tomorrow.
That's great.
Booked it.
Nice. So, why do I need to watch for falling socks? You've got options. Book on ZocDoc today.
If you have health insurance, you might be able to see a personal dietitian for $0 out of pocket. Nourish connects you with a dietitian that fits your needs, covered by your insurance. Nourish accepts hundreds of insurance plans, and 94% of patients pay $0 out of pocket. Meet with your dietitian online and message them anytime through the Nourish app. With hundreds of 5-star reviews from real patients, you know you're in good hands. Find your dietitian at usenourish.com. That's usenourish.com.
Broadcasting live across the big sky, Montana Talks with Aaron Flint.
Time now for a legislative update brought to you by the Montana Family Foundation. Here's President of the Montana Family Foundation and former Speaker Pro Tem of the Montana House of Representatives, Jeff Laszlo.
With roughly 3 weeks to go in the 2025 legislative session, it's time to shift gears. For the past 3 months, legislators have spent hundreds of hours in committee.
Random Gaming, what's up, Random MAGA?
Debating bills among themselves. Now, with the deadlines for the introduction of new bills having passed, the final bills are trickling through the system, and the work of the committees is nearly over. In fact, some of the committees are now only meeting sporadically on an as-needed basis, which is a sure sign that the session is drawing to a close. But it's not over yet. The decrease in normal committee hearings gives rise to the season of the conference committees. For those who may not know, bills can start in either the House or the Senate, where they're heard, debated, voted on, and eventually passed to the other House, where the process begins all over again. Along the way, bills can be amended, but in the end, The exact same version of the bill must be passed by both chambers before it can be sent to the governor. Say a bill starts in the House and is sent to the Senate where it gets amended. That bill must now go back to the House, where the bill sponsor has two options. They can either agree with the Senate amendments, in which case they take the final vote and then send the bill to the governor, or the bill sponsor disagrees with the amended language and asks that a conference committee be appointed. Conference committees are made up of 2 majority members and 1 minority member of each house. So in this case, 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat from each house for a total of 6. And this is where it gets interesting. Legislative hearings are normally scheduled 2 days in advance to allow for public participation, but conference committees are often scheduled at the call of the chair. This can happen with as little as 15 minutes notice, which places lobbyists on high alert. To make it even more interesting, there are 2 types of conference committees. One is the standard conference committee, and they're limited to addressing just the amended language. They can keep the amendment, change the wording of the amendment, or strike the amended language entirely. That new version of the bill is then sent back to each house for final approval. If both houses agree with the final version of the bill, then it goes to the governor. But if one house fails to pass the final version, then the bill dies. The second type of conference committee is much more risky. It's called a free conference committee, and it has nearly unlimited powers to rewrite any part of the bill they choose, not just the amended section. I've seen bills come out of free conference committees looking nothing like they did when they went in. In fact, I've seen bills hijacked and then changed so radically that they wound up doing the exact opposite of the sponsor's original intention. In that case, the bill sponsor usually begs the full House and Senate to just kill the bill. The most important conference committee in each legislative session is the Free Conference Committee on the Budget Bill. This is an incredibly powerful committee with enormous responsibility, and it's made up of only the most trusted.
Looks great, doesn't it, Random? Love this game.
The crowd in the halls outside of the room in some ways resembles the crowd waiting in St. Peter's Square as the College of Cardinals chooses a new pope. The only difference is these people all have a financial stake in the outcome of the budget. Conference committees are interesting to watch, and the best part is they're a sure sign that the legislative session is almost over. For the Montana Family Foundation, this is Jeff Laszlocky reminding you that this government is your government, and your input does make a difference.
Montana Family Foundation, 406-628-1141, or on the web at montanafamily.org.
All right, yeah, thanks to Jeff Laszlocky for that legislative update. Yeah, here we are, the legislative session, really, they are getting close to finish line, but what have they accomplished? And I know they're all frustrated right now, but, but the people of Montana are frustrated. But guys, get it together. You're almost at the finish line, and just get in the same room, figure something out, get some property tax relief across the finish line, consolidate around an income tax relief plan, and get it across the finish line. Yesterday when we did the legislative update with Democrat Minority Whip Jonathan Carlin, I said, do they need to just call it a day and stop and come back for a special session later this year? Or is the deadline going to force them to finally make some decisions and get the job done and finally unite? We'll see, right? All right, we got Freedom Friday coming up. Stand by.
This is the Montana Economic Minute.
The rule of law has a nice sound to it. Who doesn't want to be governed by laws? Except that it punts on the definition of law and the system through which it's applied. Economists care about economic outcomes, and the way the legal system actually works today exacts a significant cost on all of us. Companies produce products and services which expose them to risk when bad things happen. That makes sense. Those same companies shouldn't be selling dangerous things. At least that's the theory. But the legal system can make it enormously expensive to defend yourself in court. Smart lawyers can shop around the country to find plaintiff-friendly places to file lawsuits. And the blank check of punitive damages sharpens the tip of the spear aimed at the heart of a company that finds itself in court. Avoidance of those kinds of risks is what hurts the economy. Innovative products may never come to market. Companies who pay to settle or litigate claims have less resources to invest, and the cost of the services they provide will be much higher. I'm Patrick Barkey.
Brought to you by the University of Montana Bureau of Business and Economic Research.
KBUL AM 970 Billings, K277BS, 103.3 FM Billings, a Town Square media station.
It's unfortunate, but not a surprise.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is the U.S. reaction to China retaliating yet again. Its tariff on American goods now 125%, as the U.S. charges 145% for Chinese imports. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer tells Fox.
No one else has retaliated against these reciprocal tariffs yet. China got out ahead and decided to do it, and that's why they're in a different category than the rest at this point.
Greer also says he'll be negotiating potential deals with other countries. Now, on Wall Street, stock futures are rising the day after continued tariff concern led to a return to selling after Wednesday's rebound. Now, we just got an update on inflation showing a decline in March at the wholesale level. Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni has the numbers.
Month over month, we got a negative 0.4%. We were looking for a gain of 0.2%. That is a big spread. 2.7% was the year over year.
That is a big drop from the 3.2% in February, similar to the decline in consumer price inflation in yesterday's report. Two controversial deportation cases in court today in Louisiana. Fox's Brooke Taylor reports.
Later this afternoon, the immigration judge here is expected to rule whether or not Mahmoud Khalil is removable here from the United States.
He is a legal resident the U.S. wants to deport, claiming Khalil was a Hamas terror sympathizer for leading destructive anti-Israel protests last year at Columbia University in New York. Another hearing in Maryland today involves the legal immigrant the U.S. deported to El Salvador last month. The Trump administration admits a clerical error allowed that, but insists that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a gang member and should stay in El Salvador. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled they must facilitate his return. The Americans set free from a Russian jail and a prisoner swapped back on U.S. soil. And right after Ksenia Karelina landed, she posted a video thanking President Trump that he reposted this morning on Truth Social.
I never felt more blessed to be American, and I'm so happy to get home. Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much.
America's listening to Fox News.
All of us need to be prepared to defend ourselves and our families, and we need to start with the less lethal option to avoid the legal complications associated with firearms. Byrna has their less lethal pistol launcher. It is equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammunition. It is designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity right now. You'll get 10% off. Let me tell you this Byrna story. Bob was at home. An intruder physically forced his way inside. Now, luckily, Bob had just received his Byrna 4 days prior to this incident, and he used it to get the man outside and off of his property. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. There's no background check needed. It can be shipped directly to your door. Now, see the powerful technology that is Byrna. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity right now. You'll get 10% off. That's byrna.com/Hannity today.
President Trump will go to Walter Reed in a few hours for an annual physical medical checkup. He says he's never felt better. And House Republicans put him in a good mood, approving the Senate's budget blueprint to fund much of the president's agenda.
We're well on our way to getting, as we call it, the great, big, beautiful bill. It's a beauty.
Now they're using a budget reconciliation process that Democrats cannot block with a filibuster in the Senate.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune discussing the next steps following the House passing the GOP budget plan for making President Trump's first-term tax cuts permanent and cutting government spending.
We are going to be as aggressive as possible. We've got to get the tax cuts extended. We need this, energy policy. We need to secure the border. Obviously, the spending cuts are a big part of this as well.
The senator speaking on Fox News Radio's The Guy Benson Show. The spending plan moving forward in a 216 to 214 vote in the House, with 2 Republicans opposing the bill. All Democrats voting against it, saying it will lead to cuts to Medicaid while allowing large tax cuts for billionaires.
Got a man down.
Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
There was news made at a Trump cabinet meeting related to autism.
Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in a cabinet meeting at the White House Thursday says autism rates have exploded in the U.S. from 1 in 10,000 when he was a kid to now 1 in 31. Telling President Trump he's launching a massive testing and research effort to determine the cause of autism within 6 months.
That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh? We will know by September. There will be no bigger news conference than that.
Kennedy has vowed to end the chronic disease epidemic that didn't exist in the U.S. just decades ago. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Round 2 of the Masters underway in Augusta, Georgia. The round 1 leader, Justin Rose, just teed off. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here.
The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit Vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest price.
No, thank you.
How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Montana Talks with Aaron Flint.
Man, my goodness, I almost forgot that the PBR is in town. You know, the pro bull riding event and more. Of course, Becky Hillier knows that with her work with the Nile. But Becky, you know, I could tell the PBR was in town because after I finished the show yesterday, I go downstairs, the hotel lobby, and you can see the young gals that are, traveling this circuit with their cowgirl hats on. And then, but really, I think what really let me know that the PBR was in town was I saw out back of the hotel, I could have sworn I saw Billy Bob Thornton from Landman smoking cigarettes back there. I said, hey, what's up? And he's like, I got to drive back to Midland again. So
their work never ends.
Yeah. I was like, okay, the PBR's in town. It's cool. It's very cool. Yeah.
It's a big production. So I was there at the Metro all day yesterday, just setting up for the Nile Hospitality Room because we provide a hospitality room for Nile members, and so just decorating that, trying to make it nice for them, and so we'll host our Nile members tonight and tomorrow night before the PBR performances. So it'll be fun.
Well, and every now and then we'll have some of the bull riders will pop up here, come drop in, say hi, and everything like that. And so, but I was just thinking yesterday, I was like, wait a minute. The real Flint might be back in town, because I'm just, some radio guy with the last name Flint, but the real Flint is Flint Rasmussen.
Right.
The rodeo entertainment great, and I got to see him when he was last in the dirt here as the rodeo clown for the PBR, but now, of course, he's doing his commentary and his podcast, but I guess he's in town. In fact, he might even be downstairs.
Right.
So somebody go wake his ass up and tell him to get up here and come see us.
This is where the party is. This is where the fun is.
He's probably doing karaoke at the Crystal across the street.
He might be.
Go yank him out of the bar. Tell Flint to get on the radio with us here later today. So,
yeah, that would be awesome.
Could you just see him on the bar at the Crystal doing like the
moonwalk,
the Michael Jackson moonwalk?
Yeah. Well, hasn't he done that? No, I think he probably has on the bar top or a few bar tops.
I wonder if he's done it on a bar top. That would be a good question for him.
Might be a good challenge for him this weekend.
My favorite Flint Rasmussen story that he shared with me was, because our show during our statewide hour, we're on KSEN radio in Shelby, and I said, it's kind of weird that a white guy like you is such a good dancer. And he'd say that every morning before 8, I think it was, they always play a polka on the radio on KSEN. And they still do to this day.
Do they really?
And some of the younger people roll their eyes.
Right.
But he said his parents would dance right there in the kitchen to that polka every day.
Oh, I love it.
So that's how he learned all his sweet dudes. And he's pretty fly even for a white guy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a great dancer in my kitchen, just not in public anywhere else. So, I have some rhythm, but I am... Yeah, that's not for public consumption.
I've never been much of a singer or a dancer, although the best class I took in college, well, there was a couple. The Montana geography class was great. It was just fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did a Western swing dance class.
Oh, no way.
Which was a ton of fun. Until they made the dudes partner with each other so you knew what it was like to follow. And I got partnered up with a guy named Big Country.
That's perfect.
Who's taller than you, Becky. And I was
way.
He was like, hey.
I love it. Is there any video or pictures of that? I want proof.
No, but I'll get a hold of Big Country. He's a character. I'll say, man, we got to recreate that one just for fun.
I want to see it. I'll buy tickets.
Now I only dance to embarrass my kids. Anything to embarrass my kids. That's my goal in life.
Here's a look at your Montana weather for Billings and Bozeman. With sunshine across the area for today, we'll see high temperatures ranging from near 70 In Bozeman, around 80 in the Billings area. For tonight, increasing clouds with some shower chances moving in, especially late. Overnight lows will stay back around 42 in Bozeman to the upper 40s in Billings. Then we'll see more rain showers on Saturday. That's a look at your Montana weather on Montana Talks. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley.
Media Minute with Howard Kurtz.
The New York Times' first headline was Trump backs down, and the president had been under enormous pressure from many of his own supporters, billionaire buddies, advisors, Republicans on the Hill, media conservatives, to not carry out the draconian tariffs that he was imposing on the world. Now, obviously, it's good news. The market shot up about 8% after the president decided to postpone for 90 days tariffs against almost every country except China, which it's locked in a retaliatory spiral. Now, was this the plan all along? Because he never really allowed those tariffs to take place. And you have some critics saying, well, why go through this and then not carry through the tariffs that you have talked about for so long? Others saying the president saw the light, and certainly we're all happy about the market going up. With your Media Minute, Howie Kurtz, Fox News.
Hey, Clay, if there was a summer camp for critical thinking, we'd be the chief counselors. Those jellyheads in June would be intellectual warriors by August. Be a lot of fun, too. Some Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure references thrown in. This podcast, like a daily dose of that, minus the campfires, archery, and pranking the girls. The Bonafide Boot Camp for critical thinking. You can get in on it for free at the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search our names, Clay and Buck. Listen and subscribe.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit VaxAssist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
From Mundakistan to the Flathead, Montana Talks with Aaron Flint.
That's my favorite new intro liner.
Mondakistan.
Mondakistan. We should copyright that. Now somebody's going to go copyright it, but yeah.
Make some bumper stickers.
Yeah. I don't know if I've shared the story with you, but I've told our listeners before where the whole Mondakistan idea came from. Well, okay, the short summary is this. Anybody who's, lived in eastern Montana or has friends in eastern Montana, there's a lot of cross-border stuff between Montana and North Dakota. Some of your kids might go to college in North Dakota because that's closer than MSU or UM. And so, well, when I was in Afghanistan, or before I went to Afghanistan, I read the book, The Taliban, and he wrote about, Ahmed Rashid wrote about the Pashtun tribal lands and how for them there really was no border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and we would see that, especially the nomadic tribesmen, coming up in their jingle trucks and shepherding their sheep and everything like that, and so up the mountain pass, and so some people would refer to it as like Pashtunistan or whatever, and I was like, it's kind of like Montana, North Dakota. There's really no border there for
you're
some
right.
people,
It makes total sense. I know when I was going to high school in Miles City, I had an opportunity to go play basketball at Dickinson State University. They were recruiting me to come play for them.
How the heck do I get out of Zeus?
Where it was just so close to Montana, closer to go there than to go to, say, Missoula. So didn't actually end up going because I was busy doing other things. But definitely a connection between eastern Montana and North Dakota. So I get the Mondakistan reference now.
And that's why when Tim calls in from Savage out there on the North Dakota border, it's Tim from Mondakistan, our Mondakistan bureau chief. Let's see, Becky, I love checking out Becky Hillier's Facebook page because she always shares heartwarming stuff, funny stuff, good serious stuff as well. And then, of course, she's got a great Freedom Friday Look at the Bright Side story coming up for us here in a few minutes as well. Let's start with a serious one. I love this Winston Churchill quote.
Oh, it's one of my favorites, honestly.
Do you have it memorized, or should I read it off your page here?
Well, yeah, you can read it if you want, but I have it memorized. I might butcher a couple of words in it, but it's one of my favorites, yeah.
So here it is. You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life.
Right.
Look, at some point, you're going to stand for what you believe in. At some point, you're going to do something that's the right thing that somebody else is not going to like. And so get over the... There's something about Montanans that all want to be liked.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. Well, it's the way we're brought up. You know, to not be rude, to be nice, to be courteous, to be respectful, genial. And so a lot of times I think we because the way we were brought up with those strong values, we don't want to go against the grain because we might make people feel bad. And I know with my job when I was news anchor, I had to win a popularity contest basically every day. And so you didn't want to do anything to make anybody upset. It was kind of like being a politician. Honestly, you're out there, community service, shaking hands and kissing babies. You wanted people to watch your station. You didn't ever want to do anything that might reflect negatively on your station.
Yeah.
And then when I got into management, I realized you can't do that. I always say that it's hard to trust people who don't have anybody that doesn't like them. If everybody likes you and thinks you're just amazing, then you probably haven't ever stood up for anything that you believed in, taken a stand that was unpopular. And it's okay to do so if you really feel that is the right thing.
I remember when I was in TV news and there was a news story that I had to report, and I had a prominent member of the community, an incredible person in the community, call me and say, would you please not do this story? And it's like, I have to.
Right.
It's my job. And so, and you feel bad. You're like, God,
absolutely.
Especially when you get a call from such an incredible person like that.
Yeah.
And so, but also, I mean, sometimes you need to say what needs to be said. You need to do the story that needs to be done. And if you don't do it, well, now you're going to offend people by not doing it. And rightfully so. They should be mad at you for not saying what needs to be said.
Right. And I think it's very smart, obviously, to pick your battles. You're not going to die on every single hill, but you have to pick your battles smartly, and you really have to make sure that you're firm in your beliefs and what you're standing up for, and find your voice, use it well, and you'll be in good company. It's okay to ruffle a few feathers every now and then if it's for the right reason, if it's for progress or whatever it is, you're standing your ground. And so I love that quote. Over the years I've thought of that, especially, like I said, once I got into management, and I had to make decisions that were very unpopular. Or you have to hold people accountable. You have to hold them responsible for their actions. That is not always popular, and people don't like you, and that was really hard for me to get over because, again, major people pleaser in a business where I'm there to win a popularity contest and help my station and get people to watch, and here I was making decisions that weren't really popular, and for the first time in my life, I felt like people didn't like me. But I felt good about that because I knew I was doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's funny. I mentioned my friend Big Country from UM back in the day.
The visuals of that are fantastic, by the way.
You know, I was just thinking about this, actually. I ran into him in New York City because I was there, I think, working for the Republican National Convention. I was working for the Today Show back then. I think this was when I ran into him. And I'll never forget, he said, you know what your problem is? You want people to like you. I said, you're exactly right. I try to be too Norwegian nice to people sometimes, and you want to stand up for things, but you also want people to like you. And it's like, and so that was such a good thing for him to tell me back then, because let's be honest, if you're going to do a show like this, you're going to say some things that some people aren't going to like. You're going to call some people out. Now, I still think you can disagree with people and still get together at the end of the day. But not all people can do that.
Yeah.
You know,
One
you
of-
say one thing they don't like, and you're written off forever. you know?
Right. One of the best compliments I've ever been given, I was called the Velvet Hammer by a reporter from Sports Illustrated while I was managing the media room at the NFR.
Nice.
Because he said, you come in with authority, you're nice and courteous to everybody, but people know not to cross that line and don't mess with you because you will take them to task. And I thought, okay, I'm okay with that.
The Velvet
Velvet Hammer is here.
We need one in the studio now.
This is the Montana Economic Minute.
The rule of law has a nice sound to it. Who doesn't want to be governed by laws? Except that it punts on the definition of law and the system through which it's applied. Economists care about economic outcomes, and the way the legal system actually works today exacts a significant cost on all of us. Companies produce products and services which expose them to risk when bad things happen. That makes sense.